A question that I get asked a lot is how do you improve at team fighting? It's hard to replicate situations 30 or 40 minutes in a game, and it's honestly sometimes a waste of time to even be in those games. Today, I'll show you how to do it by analyzing a game that C9 and TL had, which included a game deciding dragon fight, which, despite being down 4.5k gold, C9 was able to win. Looking at both TL and C9's compositions, they both heavily rely on terrain, space, and vision. And that is basically the idea that you can set up fights on your conditions. Having the enemy have to walk through Maokai saplings or walk into fog against an Elise where they can get cocooned, or walk through Lucian Nami R, or even through Azir soldiers sets up pressure and it chunks people's HPs, and it makes it so that they have to use resources. Setting up flank wards, pockets of visions, and having that space to dump damage and find picks is really, really important for both compositions. The setup on this next dragon is really going to demonstrate how C9 had a better understanding of this win condition and outmaneuvered TL and set up that winning fight. The development began with the lane assignments ultimately. Azir is being sent top lane and Sion is being sent bot. Initially that seems okay, because Azir is able to grab more resources. In fact, he's able to get this tower. However, in the moment we can see that the priority is in the Azir or Cassante lane. TL needs to connect one side lane to mid through river, and this side lane is chosen based off which objective you're fighting. As you can see here, they are connecting Azir, who is in the top lane, to mid, and gaining control of the top river as opposed to the bot river, considering dragon is the next fight. This is really the first indicator that there's improper setup. This allows Blabber and Sven to gain key vision in TL's blue side river and jungle, when TL should be the ones living in C9's red side jungle. TL's composition cannot punch through mid because they have to walk directly through Maokai saplings, and despite having Summit to tank them, things get dicey as they walk from mid to the objective. So let's watch through the fight, and as we watch through it, let's keep an eye out for important abilities, vision, and macro, and keep our eye out for any game losing or game winning plays.
Flash into the pit with 7 seconds to go before this Drake spawns. You want to get as much from the jungler as possible. Teleport coming in from Cloud9 across mid lane and positioning over on the back to try and collapse upon Team Liquid Core. JJ is going to be the one to see him. Goes for it over Sven, who has to blast cone over the wall. Now Pioshik turning towards him. We got the ultimate coming out from Blabber. They get some burn onto Summit, but he is so strong, so beefy, such a big boy. And Sven completely separated by Pioshik from the rest of his team, deciding, do I circle around or do I collapse from this angle as well? Blabber getting chunked down to about 60%. The kick back here onto Summit and flashes into the pit, and now the subject of Blabber and Fudge. The Chaos Storm way into the backline, and Diplex seeing if he can get a death ray onto Summit, but he can't finish him off just yet. Fudge is the one into dangerous territories. Hill has the ultimate to pop up when needed, but the stun, Jan goes in for it, but Fudge goes back. Pioshik up into the air, and down he goes.
As you guys can see, a lot went wrong, but looking at these mistakes individually is a waste of time. It's important to connect 1 and 2 and find the root of the problem. They're consequential to something bigger. TL's players clearly don't understand where their composition wins and where C9's wins. These are called win conditions. The win condition for C9's composition is to be there first and force TL to engage upon them, pull that trigger at the wrong time, while TL's win condition is to find a pick, create some sort of a health disparity with poke, and find ultimately the right time to get a pick, blow valuable cooldowns, and win the fight. TL uses Nami E on Lucian early on in the fight, which is a huge mistake when you have a champion like Azir, which can poke instead, as he should never be R'ing right now. And even when Jan R's, he ends up getting it cancelled by Victor R because he steps into range, and ultimately this deals about 400 damage to the Victor. Keep in mind, that's an 80 carry with a full item advantage on Xayah, doing about 400 damage. Now, this puts him in a bad spot, right? But because of also the aforementioned fact that TL did not connect bot and mid and instead chose to connect top and mid, Sven is able to get a nasty flank, which doesn't threaten engage, but it gives him information to his carries. They get vision of Elise, they get vision of Azir, they get vision of Nami, and so his carries can walk forward. Now, even with all these factors, C9 is still 5k gold down, and the adaptation for TL to play is to look for picks, let them take the pit, but then look for picks on the way out. Right? However, Jan decides to put the fate of his team in his hands, and with the final nail in the coffin, he decides to dash in, fully commit to the fight at the exact wrong time. While his mid is stunned, his Nami is on cooldown, and Summit is resetting, waiting to TP back into the fight. Jan's play is likely caused by frustration. Just figure it would be funny to look at this screenshot of when Jan decided to dash in. Literally probably the worst time to do so, with Nami being on cooldown, Harry being on cooldown and stunned, Pyosik looking for the steal, and Sion resetting in a bush. So what did we learn here? Did we learn that pro players aren't the best? Pro players bleed? The coaching staff for teams is overpaid? Players don't know what they're doing? Well, all of that might be true, and probably is, but there's 3 really important things that we can take away from this so that we can improve, and we can help those around us to improve. The number one thing that led to their success was not paying attention to compositional win cons. This was through improper setup. They also seemed to be very frustrated and have a lack of communication in fights. And these manifested themselves into things that you can see in your games. And you can also see in this game. Jan dashing in, misplaced vision, poor execution, indecisiveness, anger, emotion. There's a lot going wrong with this fight. However, looking for these feelings and moments in your own games where you can recognize these and simplify those abstract concepts of wave manipulation, macro, vision, terrain, all of those things can help you to recognize how to team fight better in the long run. And you don't have to make those same mistakes that they do. So, with all the improvements set aside, and memes, full memes, who do we blame on Reddit? Who do we say needs to lose their job? Which player needs to go to academy? Which one gets called out on Twitter? Blah, 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 blah. And, you could do any one of them, because at any moment, Core JJ could say something. Jan could say something. Harry could say something. The coaches could say something and start that change in their organization. Because this, if it continues, is really indicative of growing pains. And if it's not addressed, then it is shown to be, player egos, player communication issues, or even something wrong with the coaching staff. So that's who you meme on Twitter. That's who you meme on Reddit if it continues. But please give the players a break if it does not continue, because I'm sure they're all great. If you did enjoy this type of content and want to see stuff like this in the future from me, please like and subscribe and share it. Not sure what I want to end up doing with this, but I always find it entertaining to watch games and see the same things that go wrong in solo queue go wrong on professional stages. So, and this happens in LPL and LCK too. Just sit in a Discord call with me when I watch that, and you'll understand how bad it gets.